Okay.
Yeah, let's go. So thanks a lot for being here. We are really pleased to welcome you to our 12th demo day. And we are happy to welcome as well our amazing jury composed of Romain Lavaux, partner at Partech, Charlotte Baumhauer, investor at Power Ventures, Romain Vidal, partner at Teampact, and Tim Veino, deal flow manager and co-founder at Fellow Funders Fund. We'll begin our event by a short talk of 10 minutes from Ronan, our CEO, and then we will have 4 pitches of 6 minutes from our startup and 5 minutes of questions from our VCs.
Thank you a lot, Laurent, and thank you for all the panelists. It's going to be awesome, and thank you for taking your time to give some valuable advice and feedback to our startups. I'm going to be short because nobody wants to hear anything else than the awesome roster of startups that we have right now. So just starting with a little thing, you may have noticed some trends in the last few months regarding climate change and regarding the supply chain big crisis and regarding worker unrest everywhere. The good news is we are literally at the center of everything that is happening with operations, with reshoring, with climate change tackling, and it's going to take a whole new way of thinking to change the way we produce, manufacture, deal with physical things. And so at OSS, we are convinced that there is a new model to be found. And yet, what we have in our database is that if you take operations as a whole in a very large definition, including warehousing, transportation, logistics, energy, you end up with about 42% of global GDP and 0.7 share of startup in 2021. I think it has risen since then. What's happening? We think that it's two worlds that don't mix or don't mix well enough. Let's face it, manufacturing is a hard to enter world. There are lots of strange words and ways of working and ways of understanding the world. And also some incumbents, especially in the software world, actively killing everything on site. And yet we see, and an increasing part of the world is starting to see the same thing, we see that things can change. And so what are the things that can change? Basically, the things that can change is the future of operations. So the future of operations, we define that by being more like Tesla and less like incumbents. And in that new world, there are basically going to be two new things. The first is putting software in operations, improving the bottom line. The second is going to be putting software in the product. So think of the difference between a regular cookware material and a Thermomix, where that's the difference of what software can add in terms of value to the physical world. The way we do it at OSS, and I've been doing it for 3 years, is very simple. We leverage a venture builder arm. So we literally build the startups alongside amazing co-founders. And we have an investment fund called OSS Continuity that exercise anti-dilution rights in all our startups. And very occasionally, we see a startup that we think, oh, that's too awesome to pass, and we invest. We never lead, though, and we are very, very keen on playing with the ecosystem and understanding what the VC world is seeing for those ventures. So that's why we are very, very happy to welcome the panelists, Romain from Partech, Charlotte from Power, another Romain from Teampact, and Tim from Fund Fellow Founders. You are going to see only 4 of the 14 startups that we created. Why? Because those startups are either starting up and so have things to say to you about their market and where they stand, or they have a very eventful life and meaningful milestones to share with you. So Adrien from Market Team and Benjamin from MyC, they are both out of the OSS program for quite some time, some months now, but they want to share with you their progress, what they see on their market and how they deal with that. So those first 2 are the most mature ones, and they will be happy to receive feedback from our panelists. The last 2, Alexandre and Remy, they are in the OSS process and have been starting for like 3 or 4 months, and yet they have amazing results to show. And so let's start without any other form of introduction. Thank you, everyone. Let's go. Adrien, you want to go?
Hi everyone, so happy to be with you. Thank you to welcome me some attention. So I'm Adrien, CEO of Mercateam. We want to valorize, organize, and transmit knowledge of people in organization. So I know what you may think, it's an HR tool, but actually it's our first differentiation. We want to be an operational management tool. What's the difference? It's pretty simple. 80% of our users are managers. We built the tool for managers and not for HR. You will have the support function, 20%. We will take the data and capture the data in order to take some analytics decision. Our second differentiation, it's of course, we are specialized with OSS in deskless workers. So we will focus on factories, airports, ports. When you see some blue collars, it will be Mercateam, it's our specialization. And our third differentiation, it's the simplicity of the tool, and it's really important and linked to the second differentiation in our sector. We needed to have a tool that if someone doesn't have computer or a smartphone at home, he would be able to be on board on Mercateam in less than 2 hours. So I think it's why I'm telling you about this 3 differentiation. I think it's this differentiation that in less than 2 years brought us a lot of visibility in the industrial sectors in Europe. And we know how it's difficult to penetrate this market of industrial and big, who doesn't want at the beginning working with startup, but with all these 3 differentiation, we are now working with big groups. And if some of you had a perfume of Dior, Guerlain, or many other brands this morning, you have 90% of chance people who made it was managed by Mercateam. And it's the case in many other sectors. We have 10 different industry like the luxury, the packaging, pharmaceutical, and many others, and partners in all Europe. Of course, we recruited some people. We passed from 2 to 24 people in 2 years. But I want to come back at the beginning of Mercateam, when we were at OSS in the first office with Kevin, and our mission and the vision at the beginning that we still have today. We realized that everyone were talking about automatization, investments, and in the industrial sector, Industry 4.0, and what benefits it will bring. And of course, it's a fact. It will bring some savings and income. It's already the case. But no one were talking about the upskilling it will need. In the next 10 years, 20% of the job in the industrial sector will not exist anymore. Like maybe between 20 and 40% will be not the same, with different skills and everything. So we need, as soon as possible, to upskill people and to prepare them to this new revolution. In the same time, it's extremely difficult to recruit people. You have young people who doesn't want to come in the sector. The clients are more and more demanding, and you need more agility, and people are going to retirement, so we lose the knowledge. In US, you have 25% of the workforce in industry who will go in retirement in the next 10 years because they are more than 55 years old. So who will manage this? It's of course the strategic of companies, but it will be at the end managers and HR on the field and operations. And when you look a little bit deeper in the organization, in a factory, in an airport, managers already struggle a lot to manage the really short term. Just who will go where in the next weeks of a planning, for example, because they have to juggle between a lot of constraints. So absenteeism of people, different shifts, who can go where on a different position. So how can they manage the long term if it's even difficult to manage the short term? And what's really interesting is that it's already have a direct impact on performance and productivity. And it's another debate, but all the industrial realize today that they didn't invest during many years in their people. They invest in automatization, they invest in valued, but not in their people. And it's a big cost today for them. So when an industrial come to us and ask, and he has some management problems, the solution I try to give him, it's first to simplify and to accelerate his capacity to train people, to pass on the traditional know-how to new generation and train them on new skills. basically you have paper and Excel everywhere in a factory, for example, to train people. This is just not possible. If you have a short-term employee, you need to train him in 1 year in order to affect him on a position as fast as possible. The second point is to increase the efficiency of managers and teams with automatization of decision. So we have many features. You will see it on the next slide. But for example, with the planning, with an automatic planning, we help the managers to do the affectation of all the next weeks of their people. And third, because you digitalize the tools of the manager, you can capture the data and help people to have a path in your organization. You will know who did what in the last years and what are the missions for the next years in the company. And last point, really important for factories today, the agility. Because you capture the data, you will be able to know the agility and the versatility of your sites, define some goals, and improve it in order to be more flexible. So the positioning of Mercateam is to be the backbone of know-how of an organization. We want, with a bottom-up approach, to give features to each personnel in the company. And for example, for the operator, give him the ability to see what are the goals in the next year of the company, on what skill, on what position I need to improve myself to answer to the need of the company. I can train myself alone with the IQ code on the field and on a position. When I'm done with my training, the manager, when he will do the planning and just click on a button, will automatically have a planning with all the people who are trained to go in the different positions. So it's an example, but we have many other. We kill some non-value added tasks for the manager. And by doing that, because you digitalize the planning, we will have all the versatility of people. We will know who goes where. So it will go to the site manager in order to avoid any breakdown of the production. Because he will be able to anticipate who will go in retirement, that he will need some short-term employees in the next weeks in order to be sure to produce. And at the end, we have the cross-site analysis. In French, we call it the GPEC. In English, the workforce planning. With this bottom-up approach, we think we have the data from the field. For the first time, we can do a workforce planning of the next years really precisely. And I think it's the first time you have a workforce planning coming from the field. I invite you to go on our YouTube page with a lot of testimonial from our clients. Just to come back on our achievements and the next step of Mercateam, we launched the company in 2020 with OSS. Too fast. And we are now scaling the deployment and sales of the team. And the next fundraising will be in Q3 2023. So I hope I will see you there. Thank you so much for your attention. And I pass the micro.
Thanks a lot, Adrien. And maybe Jerry, you have question for Adrien?
Yeah, I can maybe start. Super interesting topic. My first question would be, especially on the sort of operator level, thinking of sort of engagement and really making sure there's a sort of regular login, people see a very clear value add through it. How do you want to make sure that people engage with it, maybe gamify it a little bit, but really have this sort of engagement on the operator side, that they see a clear sort of value proposition out of it?
That's a large question. Some of our factories have screen on the field. So you have screen with the skill matrices, who knows what, with the planning, and it's automatically affect people. Taking in consideration all the problems of the mornings. For example, if 3 people doesn't come, you will have a dynamic planning. And the operator, you have 2 ways. We have some clients, they have some profile of operator, so he can come and see what trainings he has and what training he can apply for, okay? But many of factories doesn't have emails for their employees and operators, and we did all the product of Mercateam in order that the managers can communicate directly with the operator. So for example, if you want to share a communication from the top management to the field, it's the manager with his email who will receive a notification, and he will be able to say, okay, I communicate and I shared this email. Do I answer to the question? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. No, makes a lot of sense. And maybe second quick question would be, because obviously operators that can be in plants sort of from maintenance to quality to sort of main production processes. Is there a specific sort of target group that you're looking at the beginning where you see sort of more need for such a tool, or is it sort of agnostic and it doesn't really matter where you start?
Today we have like 10 different segments in the industry. So we know it's working in like mostly all the segments because it's always the same. You manage some people with skills and restriction and constraints, and we even are sure that it's working in like so many other sectors, even if we want to stay focused on industry and be the best in the next years on this. But 90% of factories integrate the support function and the white collars in marketing. So you see, it means it works with the field, but also with the support. And concerning the different sector, of course, today we have a focus with the crisis with sectors like medical and sectors who don't know the crisis, and it's the focus for the moment.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you for your question.
Tim, Tim or Romain, do you have any question for Adrien?
I do. Congrats, Adrien. Just one question. So in the intro of the event, we said it can be terrifying to sell to large companies because those sales cycles are super long, 6 months, etc. When we look at your logos, all of them are very large companies. So how did you crack this? What is your secret sauce to shorten the sales cycle with those very large accounts?
OSS Venture? No, actually, yeah, we had the help from all the team of OSS Venture, and it's opened a lot of doors actually at the beginning. And I think after that, it's a lot of also of sales and return on investment. Really fast, we tried to calculate some return investment, even if when we didn't finish the tool at the beginning, we were trying to calculate with the manager, with the site director, and with the top management, how many money you can have from the deployment of our tool. And yeah, we got our first logo with Andros, then LVMH, and of course to have one logo, it helps you to have another. You go to the competitor and you say, look, I have a good return on investment. So just sales, I think, and a lot of help from OSS.
And do you have to go through pilots first? I mean, what is the deployment cycle with those organizations? How do they get convinced?
Yeah, to be really honest, we did a lot of proof of concepts. Each time the industrial will ask a proof of concept, and for the first time the last 2 months, the direction it's like, okay, no, we say we have the proof it's working with your competitor. We have the proof it's working with this site in this segment. Like, just what do you want more? And we try to avoid the proof of concept, and actually it's working for one site from aerospace. I cannot talk about him, but we signed a contract of 3 years directly for a deployment on 3 sites, and they didn't even, let a manager test the tool. So this is the goal, to deploy with the top-down strategy. And before we were with the bottom-up strategy. Of course, we were building the product. Now we want to accelerate.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Awesome. Tim, do you have a question, maybe?
Nothing specific, and I'm sorry for the noise. I'm in the middle of traveling around, so found the best place to sit down and get an internet. But maybe a brief comment. Thanks for the pitch and great information to learn. I felt like the first part you were reading, and then you were answering the questions from the bottom of the heart. So I really encourage to keep trusting yourself more, because the answers were really fresh and straight to the point, while the reading and sometimes maybe felt a bit more, equal, and you start losing the track. So just trust yourself more, and it was amazing pitch to listen, and good luck from my side. No particular questions.
Yeah, thank you so much for the feedback.
Awesome, thanks. So maybe we can begin with MyC. Thanks a lot, Adrien.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Good afternoon. My name is Ben. I'm the co-founder of MyC. Is the mic okay? Yeah, perfect. Once again, so I'm Ben, the co-founder of MyC. Today we're going to talk about organizations like companies, institutions, and how important is their workforce health for the good of the companies, for their resilience, for their productivity, and we can see even for their sustainability. Because every year, they're losing the equivalent of the French GDP. Up, went too fast, sorry. Once again. So every year they're losing the equivalent of the French GDP just because they have a poor workforce condition. The good news is the WHO has been proving that thanks to the right prevention plan, you can work. Can you just maybe check, Ashok? I'm not sure it's, there is a kind of delay. Can I just tell you when to change? Thank you. Yeah, this one is good. So, and the good news is the WHO has been demonstrating with the right workplace initiative, you could be saving up to 700 billion euros a year, which is like 25% of what they're losing at the moment. And the good news is that this is the trend all organizations are now following, way beyond the duty of care. They all understand that the health and the work, thank you, the health and the well-being of their workforce is key to the companies. When they already had some chief medical officers within the organizations, all the responsibilities have been enlarged. And when this role was not created yet, it is a role that's been created for most of organizations. But to make it sustainable and to make it like really an impact at scale, you need as well a newcomer in the equation. And the newcomer is the non-medical profile. As of now, you need to have some workplace initiatives that have an impact in the long term in any site you will have all over the world. You need to include the human resources, all the C-level, including the CEOs, the CFOs, the managers, all over the place. And this is where it's an issue, because they don't know how to manage health data and how to make decisions based on that, because they have no tools to work. And this is where MySea comes in. At MySea, we are convinced that workforce health management is to be reinvented. We are convinced that these organizations, they need to make health-related decisions on a quite daily basis. And to do so, they will need at least two important sides. The first one, they will need to be able to collect and manage health and health-related data. And they will need to be having some seamless collaboration between some medical and non-medical staff. This is what we are delivering. MySea is supporting, thanks to our SaaS platform, all these organizations in having an healthier workforce for the resilience of the companies. Now, let's have a look at what's behind the strategy. One less. Thank you, Ashok. MySea in a few years will be a thought leader. As is Mercer for human resources, MySea reports will be the benchmark of the industry. We'll be working and collaborating all over the world with governments, any kind of institutions or entities. We'll be the partners of all insurers, because they will have for their clients a lot of data that will enable them to provide a better job, and then to deliver to their companies way, let's say, affordable premium than they are paying as of today. But then to reach this, let's say, third step of our journey, we are not traveling the first and the second one. The first we are currently in is to build a world-class operational tool. We are building a tool so any medical worker can collaborate with anyone worldwide on any operation they have for the good of the workforce health within the company. I will come back later on this one. The phase 2 we're entering as of next year is about entering the business intelligence. How do you go from data visualization to machine learning, artificial intelligence for the good of the company? How do you make sure they can understand, analyze the data, and then set up the appropriate action plans, and then follow up at scale all of the plans they have to put on for the workers? The good news is it's working, and quite well. If you look on the next slide, thanks, Ashok. We have been delivering late this January our first product, which is outpatient on this phase 1. The second one has been delivered during summer, which is the OH. These two, they are, let's say, forming the first part of this phase 1. Since we reached already the product market fit for the outpatient, we've been engaging now many clients. MySea is deployed in more than 40 sites in 10 countries, from Philippines to Angola, Somalia, South Africa, France, Denmark, until Honduras in Central America. And we have been accumulating with these clients more than 30K of monthly recurring revenue. Our target is now, as we have our edge products now in the market, and we have already some clients lined up to purchase it. We're going to expect to close this year with 100K monthly recurring revenue, and then to do times 3 in the next year. If we go a bit deeper and try to have a look at our clients, a very interesting pattern we can see. Ashok, sorry, if you can please change. One less. A very interesting pattern is that all of our clients with whom we are working are master clients. It means even though the sales cycles can vary from say 3 to 9 months, they always have a very big, and when we say very big, it's a times 2 to up to a times 10 upsell or cross-selling capability. If you take some example, we are working with the European Union. So we are extremely proud to work with the EU because it means they've been whitelisting in terms of GDPR, data protection plus data security, our platform. So it's the best logo we could have ever for the solution, the promotion of it. We are only working at the moment with 5,000 beneficiaries located in 140 different countries, which is what they call the foreign service of the EU. But this is opening us the door of the United Nations, the Commission, which is more than 30,000 people. If we look at other contracts, we work as well with Total, Chevron, FedEx, Bank of America. Work as well with International SOS, who is, as of today, the leader in terms of medical service worldwide. We've been starting small with some projects in Paris, then in Uganda, then some other ones in Angola. And now we're having some talks to deploy the solution in more than 600 sites on one only single part of the solution, which is by itself just a contract that could generate a revenue of more than 1 million a year. And then the scale up of this is way above this. And when we look at the negotiations, it's almost the same. We are talking with Newmont. We're talking with them in Argentina. They're bringing us directly to Latin America because they have 3 sites, and then they want to bring us directly to the headquarters because they're looking for a new solution for the 15 mines they are managing worldwide. We can see Ponant in the cruise ship industry. We can see First Quantum, another mining site. We non-officially won a contract for them. It will be awarded officially in 2 weeks. So we have very good traction because there is a big need. And we have a key difference in the market. If we have a look on the next slide, our team is unique. Before starting MyC, I used to work for more than 10 years abroad. I've been first in Indonesia and then in Argentina, managing, then starting some businesses, delivering services and closing some business with small and medium companies, and as well big corp, such as Volkswagen, Carrefour, John Deere, managing people from different nationalities in both Asia and then South America. I came back in 2020, unfortunately just a week before the first lockdown of COVID, but this is life. And then I met Laurent. And Laurent is my co-founder. Is a crazy personage, we could say in French. He's a medical doctor, ENT surgeon. He spent 20 years of his life abroad, which means he has a user research of 20 years. He's been working on oil rigs. He's been working in the Antarctica base for the European Space Agency. He's been working in all the settings our clients are currently in. So every time we're having a meeting with a medical doctor in front of us, just bringing Laurent is just a killer because he will understand, okay, MyC understands what are my needs. And so they understand as well how my business is needing some more information to make decisions. And when Laurent doesn't have the information, he has a wide network, so he can connect us to anyone from very famous infectious doctors to researchers. And so it's opening us doors that we could never have thought of some months ago. For sure, we're not by ourselves only. MyC as of today, it's a team of 15, a team of experienced people who made the decision to hire many people, to hire highly skilled people. The median age in the company is 31 years old. We have been hiring people from the tech industry, from the SaaS industry, from some unicorns, people with great track records, experts from the sales in these medical services. And we are very proud of this team, which was born during the COVID, which is remote first, and which is delivering, as of now, crazy results. Well, if you can go on the next one, please, Ashok. This has been a snapshot of MyC. We'll be fundraising by the end of this year. So we'd be very happy to go deeper with some of you. That can be interesting to join MySea in our journey. We have the opportunity, and we'll say the honor, to be like in our board OSS plus Elia. And so we are now looking, as Rona was saying, for the leader of the next round, which we hope will be someone with an international envergure. Thank you, everyone.
A lot, Ben. Maybe the jury has question.
Yeah, I can start this time. Thanks for the pitch. Really interesting to learn, and I'm really happy to see that you're picking quite a right traction considering this started from January. 2-in-1 questions. First of all, what is the market size that you're addressing, and how did you calculate it? And the second one is, what are the biggest bottlenecks that you're facing to go even bigger?
So question one about the market. We do believe, so we don't do believe, the companies, they could save up to 700 billion US a year. We do believe we can take at least 10% of that, which is 70 billion markets. And on top of that, we have 2 other markets. The first one is the medical service, because as the companies would be going through MySea to use and log everything, they will go and ask some teleconsultations. So it will be a kind of Uber-like solution. So medical services will go through the platform. So that's why I do believe the 70 billion is a conservative size of the markets. And on the other side, we have been just opening something not yet official, so keep it for you. But we've just been awarded a contract from research and development with the APHP, the French Paris hospital. And so our solution is to be used as well for market research and research in medicine, which is a big market that could later on as well be turned into pharmaceutical industries. So that's why we do believe the 70 is a conservative estimate. Then about the next phase and while we are fundraising, it's all about scaling up the sales and the operations. For sure, the product and the technology teams will keep evolving, but the next step, as we see the market, it's not empty, it's a lie, but the market is to be taken. It has been like totally underserved for the last 10 years. And so everyone we're talking to, they're very interested in changing the system or creating a system. Many clients are still with the Excel file or paper. And so really like the next phase, it's how do we sell more? How do we market better the solution so we can speed up? As of now, we are mostly in Europe and Africa, but the market is big in the US, it's big in Southeast Asia.
Thanks a lot.
Congrats, Ben. Good
Thank
story, good pitch. There was one thing that was not totally clear, which is exactly what the product does and how, more importantly, how you make money. Are you making money on software? Are you building a marketplace of medical services for which you're taking commissions? So I'm trying to understand where your MR is coming from.
Yeah, as of today, the revenue is purely from the software. So it's purely the platform we are delivering to the clients. And in this first phase, it's purely about operational excellence. So if we take some practical example, they would use as of today, the platform in the EU, in Brussels, to perform and log all the vaccinations. So a kind of Doctolib for companies. And they will have on the other side, all the management getting access to information, how many people booked an appointment, how many have been vaccinated in this case. It is used in some oil rigs in Denmark. So all the medics and nurses, they would use the system to book their appointments, log in their stitches are doing, all the consultations. And then they would be like reporting in a very automatic way to the medical response center where they have all the medical doctors and where they can follow up on all of the cases. So this is as of today, the way we generate the revenue. And as of next month, we get the first contract for the medical service, will be, as you just said, a kind of marketplace to connect our users to doctors with many kind of specialties, from GPs down to a dermatologist, infectious diseases or whatever.
Okay, clear.
Thank you.
Maybe a question on thank you for the pitch, Ben, super interesting. A question on the sort of patient data that you obviously are ingesting at some point and storing. First question on that would be where is it coming from now? So are you importing that from, and I think you mentioned Excel files, or do you also have some sort of manual records that you need to digitize, and how automated is that? And how do you make sure that is sort of secured and within the sort of patient's security data sort of rule, where privacy obviously matters a lot?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So as I said previously, the best logo we have in our pitch is the EU. They've been the one to write the GDPR Act. And so they've been the ones to whitelist the solution. And then we've been like through many companies for IT security. By the way, we are ISO 27001 certified. How do you collect and how do you manage data? As of now, a very important point is we are not collecting more data than what is collected as of today. The only thing we're doing, we're securing and protecting the data because the solution is secured. And so any medical user, you can take an occupational health doctor, a nurse. It was the case for the oil rigs platform I just mentioned. They will like log into MySea the consultations and the data. And so within the system, they will log as when you go and meet your GP. This patient is coming for that reason, it's diagnosis, this is the drugs they've been delivering. So everything is logged. And so natively, it's being imported into the system and the dashboards. For all the past history, we can as well import the data. It's a case-by-case job we have to do to check what is the compatibility. But if the clients, they use a system which is compatible with some standards, we can absolutely do it. It's a request we have, and it's a request we can meet most of the times.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have some more questions? All right, let's go to next. Thank you, and have a good day.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm a bit shorter. I need to make it lower. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex, and I lead a cybersecurity project called CYBAS or CBAS. And the mission together with the team is to make manufacturing plants more cyber resilient, more secure through a cyber management system for manufacturing. First, a few facts from our friends at McKinsey. Of course, manufacturing operations turn digital. Production software will triple by 2030. Machine learning data is doubling every 3 years. And already people on the shop floor spend about 25% of their time on softwares. Well, this will obviously increase dramatically the weight of cyber within the panel of operational risks that manufacturing plants are supposed to be managing. Already part of the top 3 business priorities when you look at CAC 40 2021 annual reports. It was the second most targeted sector in 2021 after banks. And it has the lowest level of readiness and resilience at the moment. So basically attacking a factory is like basically kicking a penalty goal without goalkeeper at the moment. Unsurprisingly, the cybersecurity market for OT is growing about 25% until 2025. The market is supposed to be reaching about 10 billion, más o menos. And why is that? Well, first, increase in cyber attack on critical infrastructure. We have about between 2 and 4 articles per week on that topic. 2, growing and consolidating regulation. 3, well, increasing network complexity and digital adoption around everything 4.0. And of course, the accelerating IT-OT convergence, very popular at the moment. Well, then why are manufacturing plants so badly secured and protected at the moment? 3 things. 1, very bad governance. There's no collaboration between production and IT people. There's no ownership of the topic. And there's very little awareness around that in terms of trainings and best practices. 2, in terms of tooling, very bad again. Well, a lot of complicated tools, but too complicated to use, limited insights, and also limited actionability for people on the shop floor. So it's basically IT tools designed for IT to address something that is not really IT. And the last part is unclear cyber regulation, difficult for CISO and CIO to define proper sandboxes when they need to actually carry out strategy and define roadmaps around cyber in OT. So basically, they just do nothing or they use consultants. But they should actually, because the impact financially is quite high. Directly, it's well, between $4 and $6 million every time a company suffers an attack, so which is already significant. Long-term strategy can be really harmed as well, reputation, IP theft, you name it. So competitiveness and market share will be impacted, or I expect it to be impacted. In terms of insurance, well, cyber insurance is very popular at the moment, but once you suffer an attack, it's between 30 and 50% increase of a premium after you suffer it, so pretty prohibitive. And also, last but not least, when you don't secure manufacturing plants, you get rid of all the potential upside of innovation and 4.0 improvements in terms of productivity gains, because the CISO and CIO is in a no by default posture when there is improvement and initiatives wishing to be deployed on manufacturing sites. So you don't benefit from the whole upside. So our vision, so we're still at the vision level at the moment and we start building, but what we want to do, well, we think that first cyber will soon be handled like climate today, in terms of public awareness, in terms of resource allocation, and also strategic impact. That's first thing. Second thing, well, we think that OT cyber will follow the same trajectory as quality 30 years ago and safety 60 years ago. Quality 30 years ago was a team of experts centralized, providing guidelines to manufacturing plants with limited impact. Today, quality is everyone's business on the shop floor. From the site director to the operator, everyone has routines to do, everyone has stuff to do, to pilot and do stuff about quality. And we think cyber will be exactly the same in 5 to 10 years. Third part, so hence the system, from ad hoc project to process, from a centralized team of experts to everyone's business on the shop floor, basically a system. So, and we're building the system primarily for OT people, not really for IT. And the cornerstone of the whole thing on the people side is the maintenance teams. We want to empower these guys because the maintenance people, they moved 25 years ago from mechanics to electronics and robotization. In 5 to 10 years, these people will also have IT and cyber routines to deploy on their shop floor and on their perimeters. So that's primarily why we build the system. How and what are the intents? 4 main intents. We want our solution to be able to do mainly 4 things. One, at last be able to design an OT cyber strategy with a clear sandbox instead of doing nothing. We want the product to align IT and production stakeholders, create collaboration. We want the product to enable CISO and CIO to pilot both cyber OT risks and execution. And we want to facilitate the upskilling and awareness, both sides. Where we stand as of today, very quickly, while we completed the user research over 60 interviews, we validated the main pain points, the vision, and the high-level product design. We are in co-building discussions, and we are finalizing discussion with 5 partners, 3 already and 2 to come next week. And we have about 30 interested clients in our pipeline for next year. So this is where we are. Trajectory, well, today we're building. By end of year, we want to have an MVP and 3 validated POCs, at least out of 5, minimum 3. We want to start collecting revenues Q1 next year, reach the 50K MRR somewhere around the summer. And by end of year 2024, the ambition is to be around 5 million ARR signed. And the ultimate North Star is to be the Salesforce of manufacturing cyber resilience. Many thanks. Thanks for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Alex. Any question from the jury?
Yeah, congrats, Alex. I like the pitch. I think you could even be a bit more scary in the way you paint the picture, like Hollywood style, because you should show what happens when there is an attack, an operation stopping, etc. I think we all understand what happens at a hospital when it happens, but for manufacturing sites, it would be nice to visualize. Now, there's going to be a lot about changing the culture, like letting OT people own something that is historically owned by IT. So how will you, it's not just the management software, it's everything that will go around it and the way people will adopt it and integrate it into their processes. So what is your plan to actually do this? Because it's a big move.
Well, actually, the part of the vision came after we came back from the FIC forum in Lille, you know, the cybersecurity forum where everyone was there, and IT OT convergence and handling was the hot topic. But what we found is that there were a lot of complicated solutions, but they all addressed the solution the same way, from IT to ops. So they are trying to empower more and more and more the IT to do stuff in the factories, to reach the factories, to understand and basically try to do initiatives and implement stuff. But they were hitting a wall basically, because at the other side of the spectrum, they don't care basically. It's not part of their mandate. It's too complex. They don't really understand the impacts. They are not empowered. So what we want to do is to travel the other around basically. So what we sell is not an IT tool, is an OT tool. So what underlies this vision is three things. One, we value simplicity, really simplicity. Everything is IT on the IT side is very complex because cyber is an ecosystem where everyone wants to do something complex, but we value simple things. We value KPI that actually talk to production people, not level of criticality, IT, red flag, yellow flag. And at the end of the day, no one understands what's happening and no one knows how to prioritize. So we want to talk about money, impacts, deviation of productivity, etc. So something concrete. And three, we want to integrate as much as possible into current tools for these people, because we don't want to have the deadly effect of being yet another tool that no one cares and no one opens. And to do so, you need to be able to integrate to the existing tools of these people, GMAO for maintenance people, for example, and be able to, to be invisible as much as possible. Because if you do that, you generate goodwill, and then all the data and all the feedback you can use on the IT side. So you basically first empower OT, and then you process the data on the IT.
Okay, actually, a follow-up question on that, because that was what I was going to ask. You mentioned integrations, and I know you're still building the product and probably figuring that out along the way. But that would be super interesting to understand. So, and you mentioned it a bit, there's obviously the maintenance tools, then you have the ERPs, you have tools where you handle and manage your inventory and so on.
Correct.
Is there specific, or maybe how do you sort of visualize or see yourself in that tech stack, or is there specific tools you're focusing on right now? Or yeah, would be great to understand.
It's a good question, but as it is a system, it's like the ultimate goal is to have a fully fledged system. So there's many bricks to that product. What we're trying to prioritize at the moment is what gives the most value quickly to the people that actually co-build with us. So visibility on assets, of course, but there's bricks of the product that are necessary but not sufficient, not differentiating. Let's put it this way. For example, in terms of visibility, you can have visibility on your machines, your networks, etc. But that's a given because a lot of people are doing that. But what doesn't exist is visibility on your people, your governance, your process. This part of visibility is actually very badly addressed. So we want to complete the offering on that part, because don't forget that 70% or 80% of cyber product is basically what's going on between the keyboard and the chair. So it's like the people, and no one actually talks about that.
And who has access to which machines and which systems, right?
Correct. So yeah.
Same in cloud security, where you would want to manage that well and have an overview and be able to monitor it.
We are working on ways to identify in a simple and smooth way people on the shop floor, because of what colleagues were mentioning earlier, that a lot of people don't have emails, so they are under the radar of IT. So they basically escape from any kind of cyber initiative because IT is managing the cyber thing. So what we want to be doing is that give visibility to all these people, because of risk management on the people side for the IT management, and also being able to inject guidelines, training, customized to-dos to different kinds of people. So the access management part of the system is important on two sides, basically.
Okay, thank you.
And my question would be, again, in two parts. So first of all, who is the kind of ideal company that you would go after? What is the key, what is the key in decision making? Is this company a perfect fit or not? And the second question, you partly answered this, but are there any good or bad changes the company will be going through while you're integrating to the company? So the headcount, do they need more people, less people, or any specific changes that will be going on within the company?
Okay, thanks. First part of the question, who's going to be the decision maker, if I understood well? I think...
what would be decision making? So what is the ideal profile of the company? Who are you going after? Is it just the scale of the company? Are you more suitable for a smaller company, mid-sized company, bigger production companies? What is the ideal profile for you?
Well, mid-size and basically that don't really, that don't have dedicated SOC teams or dedicated OT management teams. So the companies where we can value the fact that, well, it's cost efficient to deploy such a system, where you can't hire experts on OT cyber, and you don't have a lot of time to deliver quick value on this topic. So we target mid-size company, not large size for now. And the second part of the question, yes, sorry. This second part of the, I didn't really understand well. Can you come again?
So what changes will the company go through? Do they need to add some people to start working with you, or you just train the people who are on site? Or do they need to eliminate some people and they can win with the optimization or buying in the services? So the company itself, are they going through any changes by adding your service to themselves?
Well, sorry.
Is it just a plug and play solution? So when you start working with a company, you just onboard yourself and there's no changes going within the company? Or do they need to do some adjustments in the team, in the structure? Maybe some people become irrelevant within the team, or maybe they need to add some specialists in the team to start working with you in this sense.
Okay, fine. Well, the idea is to break the silos, right? At the moment, IT and production people, they don't talk to each other because of historical friction, because they have a relationship of client versus supplier thing instead of partners, because they don't talk the same language due to their skills and their trainings and the way they work, because of the life cycle is different. OT is like 10-15 years with the capex and the machines, etc. IT is more 3 to 5 years. So there's a lot of things going on that made this silo happen, and the system is supposed to make them collaborate more and be at the same level of the discussion table, medium term. So that's what we're trying to achieve: facilitate things. Because it's the key to cyber resilience to us, to put it this way. It's you can't crack the OT and manufacturing cyber resilience if you don't empower production people. Got
it. Thank you.
Sure.
Awesome. Maybe Romain Vidal, have you a question?
I missed the beginning, so I'm afraid it would be stupid questions. So I'd rather not.
Okay, awesome. So let's go for the last but not least startup, Bonks.
Right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you for that, Alex.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Hello. So my name is Remy, and I'm the founder of Bonks, and I'm going to talk about something really big in every industrial company in terms of software, basically ERPs. And something very interesting is that ERPs is a big market. It's practically the first big piece of software that is bought by industrial companies. And something that really puzzled us is that, well, practically 70% of all projects fail. And for something that's the biggest, I would say, purchase of the company in terms of IT, that's very intriguing. And the reason for that is that it's big projects that are deployed in many years. And most of the time they go above budget, above time. And sometimes they even can crash the company. We've actually had a data point on this. And so basically, if you imagine that you're the CEO of a small but growing industrial company, and at some point, you need to structure things, and digital is obviously the way to do it, then you have to go there, but you clearly don't want to do this. And something that you might, I think the remote's broken. Okay. Yeah, and some other option that you might consider is a new entrant, I would say, to solve operational problem. It's no code, low code, but pretty quickly you realize that while it delivers value very fast, actually it doesn't scale to what your factory needs. So it doesn't scale to the complexity of data, of workflows. And also those tools were designed for a digital space and not for what a factory worker needs when he or she is manipulating parts on the shop floor, etc. And so basically you have this sort of open space, and this is what we're trying to address with Bonks, to be able to help factories digitalize very fast, and avoid those big deadly ERP projects. And so the way you do that with Bonks is that first you don't deploy it like an ERP in 2 years. You use a very iterative approach, and the idea is to create impact in very short time, in a few weeks, to tackle the first perimeter, train some key users to be autonomous, to leverage the no-code features of the tool. And then those key users basically are able to digitalize more of the operation, whether it's on the shop floor or it's supply chain topics wider than just the shop floor. And so the goal for the industrial, for the CEO, is basically that it doesn't have to make this terrible choice to lock, I would say, a few members of his key employees into a very long IT project that delivers no value. Instead, he can just train them on Bonks and create really impact really fast and continuously, and create this sort of virtuous cycle for his company. And to give you an idea of one of the first factories we deployed, it's a wood furniture manufacturer in south of France. And what's pretty crazy is that, and something we observe in most of those small, medium companies, is that they don't actually know their margins. And for companies that are sometimes struggling, sometimes growing, but in sort of uncertainty, it's critical to know and steer your margins. And what we've been able to do in just 2 weeks is deploy a few of the features of Bonks on the shop floor and in the hands of the managers and in different parts of the factory. And for the first time, the C-level had the idea that, okay, for those orders, I was actually losing money. And that means then you can take selective action, change product pricing, or tell sales to change the product mix. But it was the first time in the lifetime of the company that it was able to go this granular. And that was just one perimeter, and there are many others to come after this. Is it working? Yeah. So in terms of our roadmap, our goal for the end of the year is to close a 50K MRR, followed by a seed round, and more long term, the goal is to ramp up to 100 factories within 12 months, and to reach 500 in a bit more than 2 years. And at which point we'll try to raise a Series A. Yeah. And so if you want to help us today, basically it's help us get in touch with CEOs, help them avoid these deadly ERP 2 years projects, and talk about Bonks. And we'll be starting a seed round by the end of the year, beginning of next year. So feel free to join us on this adventure. And to give you an idea of the team, yeah, so that's the team. Well, thank you very much. And if you have any question, yeah.
Yeah, I can maybe start. Thank you for the pitch. Super interesting topic, but also extremely complex, I would say, to build a whole ERP. And that would be sort of my first question. How do you want to make sure, especially compared to the sort of strong legacy systems, and they definitely have their disadvantages, but people have used and trusted them for years. How do you want to get to feature parity in the next sort of, in the near term, and really sort of give them an alternative that they're happy to sort of switch to, especially when it comes to transferring all the data and making this sort of the heart of your system?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good question. There are multiple reasons on why we're convinced we're going to do this. The first one is every ERP is a thing with many modules, but when you really look under the curtain, you realize that actually it's a lot of duplicate functionality, and actually it's a lot of horizontal effort. And our vision for Bonks is that we interviewed 100 factories, and by doing this, we realized, okay, actually, when you want to solve 95% of the problems that you see in a factory in the supply chain, you don't need 200 modules, you don't need all these features. You can actually strip it down to a way to access data, a way to collect data, and a way to automate interactions between data. And just with those three components, you have the tools to solve a lot of these issues. And since there are few components at play, you can train people to do them themselves instead of having to rely on third-party integrators, which is, well, very long and costly, etc. So just as of now, we are able to solve problems that industrial companies were not able to solve. The second reason is that we are entering the market on companies that are growing but have not yet purchased an ERP, or actually are even quite scared to do it, so they're pushing back. And for us, it's a very interesting play, because we're clearly an alternative to this, and their directions are extremely good in this. And also, you have a bit larger companies where the ERP is there, but the ERP doesn't solve the many operational needs. And basically, Bonks can be deployed and to interact with the ERP, get some data, and basically can solve operational needs. And Bonks is the ops, I would say, layer that's in front of the ERP layer, sort of. So you have those different plays to put it in factories and start solving a problem quickly. I hope this answered the question.
Yeah, thank you.
Can you please question from my side? Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, it was not totally clear to me if you're going to focus on a sector in particular, because the way the ERP is going to be used is probably very different if you're a food manufacturer, if you're an assembly, if you're producing small parts. Mm-hmm. So is there an area that you think is going to be the most receptive to your value prop?
Yeah, for sure. Very good question. So far, we have our best success are in discrete manufacturing. Everything that's process manufacturing so far, we didn't have much touch in it. Maybe we didn't prospect much also, but I think it's a more natural fit for factories with non-automated. At least not everything is automated in it, and we're focused in terms of size on small, medium companies, basically above 1.5 million in revenues, and somewhere north of 50 employees up to 200 employees. So far, that's our first ideal target. And often we have company, and the goal is to find companies that are growing fast, because that's the one that are going to want to structure their operation pretty quickly. And often the ones that are growing fast also have the best execution capability and have the most likely team members to be trained on Bonks and improve the factory.
Yeah, thanks for the pitch. Question from my side would be, can you please talk me through the marketing? So how do you market yourself? How do you reach the clients? Through which channels? Any original approaches to do so, or how do you build up the marketing strategy?
Yeah, so far we are in the process of refining the go-to-market strategy. But we've realized there is something that's working quite well is a sort of local approach, we say, finding, for instance, influential networks of companies in one area, and maybe being very present in this area, and by word of mouth, spreading from company to company. There is this sort of word of mouth effect when you purchase this type of software. And then we have some surprising results just organically on LinkedIn or social on professional networks and through rather standard channels. I don't have exact figures because we're still testing this as of now, but we have some very promising leads on this part. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just thinking that when I think of a business, I believe that some kind of customer acquisition through particular webinars on the topics can be also quite useful thing to acquire new users. But yeah, thanks for the question. Thanks for the pitch.
Thank you. Any other question?
Yeah, could you? I was a bit surprised by the numbers you showed. 50K this year and 6 million next year, or 6 million ARR maybe next year. How do you see your kind of sales organization ramp up? It's kind of the other question. You talked about lead gen, all right? But it seems like it will be an enterprise business, even though it's probably low average ACV. But how do you see your sales ramp up in the next year, and how do you make the maths work to get to 6 million ARR next year? What kind of salespeople are you going to recruit? How much are you going to pay them? Where are you going to find them? How much do you need?
Well, so that's a very good question. So something that's pretty interesting is that even though we are targeting small size companies, the ERP system is such a critical piece of the company IT that the average, I would say, purchase is pretty high, somewhere around 30-40K ARR per year, which means the ARR will scale pretty nicely with the amount of client, and also it's much faster to close smaller businesses than large ones, obviously. So that's one part of the answer. And in terms of sales, obviously the company will become, I would say, pretty sales focused at which point. Right now we're very product focused, but I think there will be a sort of a switch when we start to ramp up clearly. So yeah, I agree it's a challenge. We're very ambitious on this, but I think we have some nice opportunities there in terms of markets.
Just an input, 30-40K ACV is to me really the low end of the range when you want to do field sales. Otherwise, below that, it's really hard to actually be profitable. And another input maybe, it's hard to make sense of, if you're not sales focused right now, doing 6 million ARR next year and having a full-on sales team, ramping up a sales team is probably already 6 to 9 months. So it is challenging for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Thanks.
Any more question?
Okay, thank you. If there's not any more question, thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thanks a lot from me. So thanks a lot all for your presence, and special thanks to our jury for sharing questions and insights. And see you next quarter for our next demo day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.